Hello, Tech 378. My name is Deep Patel, and this is my presentation on my research paper, Gotcha with FOMO, How Microtransactions Shape the Video Game Industry. In 1958, a physicist created the very first video game called Pong, which was a very simple game where two players would bounce a ball back and forth between each other. If we fast forward to today, video games are a lot larger in grand in scale because of the technology we have to create them. We even have VR video games now. However, we would not see a big growth in the industry until a new practice was implemented, which is called microtransactions. Microtransactions is a practice is a practice for video games to essentially make more money off its initial launch cycle and continue to support future franchises for a company. However, with microtransactions came with a set of problems that the consumer would not see and companies would take full advantage of. So, what is a microtransaction? A microtransaction, simply put, is spending real-world money for an in-game item, service, skin, cosmetic, or whatever it is the game is offering. People will spend money and get something worth of value in return, and that is why people do spend money on video games. Most multiplayer games nowadays have a microtransaction system in them. Also, single-player games are likely to have a microtransaction system in it. It is more rare to see a game nowadays without a microtransaction system. So, in 2006, Bethesda released The Elder Scrolls 4: Oblivion, and later that year, they decided to release what is considered the first microtransaction, which was downloadable content, or DLC for short. This downloadable content was a set of horse armor that a player could buy and put on their horse in-game, which would just change the look of it, and that's all it really did. It cost around $2.50. The fans were outraged when Bethesda announced this because they believed that Bethesda was going to try to monetize the game in different ways, and they believed that Bethesda was not giving them a full-fledged product when they released Oblivion. However, even with all this negative backlash, this started the new norm in video games. Another practice that people use alongside with microtransactions in the video game industry is FOMO. FOMO is short for fear of missing out. What exactly does this mean? FOMO is the concept of a person believing that they are missing out on a rewarding or great experience because they are led to believe so. And in turn, they might try to find a way to participate in this event in any way, shape, or form. Even if it does not affect them in a positive way. So, in video games, FOMO is used alongside with microtransactions to help boost the sale of microtransactions. Gacha games are a prime example of using FOMO. Examples of gacha games would be Genshin Impact, Fire Emblem Heroes, or Pokemon Masters. And essentially, these games are where players will spend in-game resources to roll for a specific item or character in a subcategory. They are not guaranteed that character, and they have to rely on luck essentially to get the item they want. And what companies do is they will put a time limit on the availability of these items. So when a player is then cornered with FOMO, a player is essentially cornered into making a very tough decision. Do I want to spend money to get this specific item, or do I want to give up on this item and hope that the devs and company make this item return? And you can debate whether this is a fair tactic for them to use, but it has definitely helped them boost their sales. So there have been good cases, bad cases, and very greedy cases with the microtransactions. A good case would be Epic Games' Fortnite, where the entire game is free to play, all updates are free, all future content is free. The only thing you need to pay for in the game is just the skins. That's all you have to pay for. Nick Yopko in his article disclosed that Epic Games made around $1 billion in microtransactions alone on the mobile platform in 2020. This is just mobile alone. They didn't add PC or console or any other sources. So with numbers like this, some other companies try to implement how they use their how Epic Games use microtransactions, and some of them failed in a very bad way. Ubisoft and their game Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is a prime example of how microtransactions were used in a bad way. Former professional player Pengu, in his video "This Skin Is Not Okay," explains how a specific skin in the game's lifespan is used to give players an advantage by blending into the maps and making them harder to see. And Pengu goes on to explain that this skin is essentially pay to win, and that even his team management told him to go ahead and buy the entire set of skins, and they call it and mark it as a business expense because of how much of an advantage it gave to the players. Then there's the case of EA with Star Wars Battlefront 2, where they implemented a ridiculous system with loot boxes and microtransactions. Simply put, EA forced players to grind a ridiculous amount of in-game time, around 80 to 100 hours, just to get iconic characters like Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. Or the other option was to spend $60 to $80 on just the game alone of in-game purchases to maybe potentially get these characters. This has led to a lot of controversies and a lot of backlash of the game, and it has even led to some governments straight up making laws and regulations around loot boxes. The Netherlands has straight up banned loot boxes, and China now requires publishers to release the stats for getting specific rewards from loot boxes. So, in conclusion, microtransactions have forever changed how video games grow and have been monetized. The debate FOMO also plays a huge role in boosting the sale of microtransactions and marketing video games to other players. The debate now is left with, are microtransactions moral? Should they be regulated? But that is a discussion for a different day. If you look at the business implications of microtransactions, you can say without a doubt that they have been a success for the industry, and will hopefully, and has definitely made the gaming industry a little bit more consumer friendly, but also not consumer friendly at the same time.